And hi again, everybody, and welcome to If You Don't Like That. It will be another win.
Audio Jungle.
All right, we didn't need that twice. I hit the wrong button, but if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball, right? We can hear that more than once, can't we? Oh my gosh. Sacramento now going to go to 2 games over 500, beating the San Antonio Spurs. And I like this right out of the gate. I guess they are learning how to win. That's a fabulous, fabulous message, Marine. That you're spot on. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, let's get to some chat messages. Kings finishing quarter strong like we have never seen before in 16 years. Love the fact different guys can score other than our top two scorers. Monk and Lyle stood out tonight. Yeah, they did. I don't know how you defend this team right now. They're all healthy. I know Murray didn't play tonight, but I mean, their big offensive players are all healthy. Light the beam. Yep. Jason, light the beam. Sacramento, 2 games over 500 with the Pistons coming in. So, hey, a lot of excitement, and rightfully so. Good to have you on the chat right here on YouTube Live. Yep, they sure did pull away in the fourth. I mean, the scoring, a 40-plus point quarter in the fourth, right? I mean, Paul says we usually lose games like this. Yeah. Both teams shot the hell out of the ball tonight. Both teams really shot the ball well. All right. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Please tune in too if you don't like that. I appreciate all the support. Think about this, though. All right. The Kings put 130 on the board after putting 153 against Brooklyn. They score 41 points in the fourth. And as I look at this box score, what's interesting to me, okay, is how well both teams shot the ball. You don't see this very often. If I had told you that the Spurs were going to shoot 55% for the game and lose, you would say, nah, probably not going to happen. But guess what? The Kings shot 57%, and their scoring was well-rounded. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players in double figures. Fox with 28, Monk with 26 off the bench, Sabonis and Barnes each with 16, Lyles with 14, Metu with 10. I mean, that's good offensive production. That's very good offensive production. So everything's looking good. Love the chat. Love you being here. Fox mid-range game makes a huge difference. Yeah, absolutely. And about Keegan Murray, they didn't need him tonight. Don't know about Sunday going against Marvin Bagley and the Detroit Pistons. I'm looking at the scores. There's a very light night in the NBA tonight. All right. You only had 2 other games, and Brooklyn is leading Portland by 4 with 3.5 left. And Detroit is leading the Clippers 63-59 with 2:50 left in the third. So, right now, I mean, there's really nothing to pick on with the Kings. They're just flat out outscoring who they are playing. We can talk about defense all you want. Riley says, Nate, they look like they are having fun. Yeah, Riley, they do. I can sit there and talk about defense, but I'm okay with giving up 112 points. It's okay. So the Spurs shoot, 55% for the game, and the Kings score 130. That's okay, right? You can outscore teams in this league. That's fine. That's what the Kings are doing. They're like, okay, stop us. We're going to roll out the ball, see if you can stop us. You can see Fox not shying down from contact with his improved free throw shooting. Yeah, I mean, his free throw shooting, we talked about that going into the season. It's a great point. 4-4 from the line tonight. Yeah, I'd like to see him get to the line a little more. I'm nitpicking. He was plus 36 for the game. Plus 36 for the game. Yeah, the Spurs did shoot well. Again, at over, 50%. You listen, Jeff, you're not going to have the type of game that Davis had every night against the Brooklyn Nets. So, hey, you know what? It's all good. We first in scoring now. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't really care about that. I care about the record. We can get caught up in all the numbers. You know what? I only look at the record. Here's what matters. 2 games above 500 right now. There you have it. All right, we're going to be speaking with Ryan in Sacktown here in a moment. We'll get his take on what he saw tonight. Again, this was an offensive game tonight. There wasn't a lot of defense on the floor, right? There wasn't a lot of defense on the floor. And no, I have never been to Afghanistan. I have not been to that part of the world. Somebody said, looks like the game changed. That's Anita. When Davion took a charge in the third and then went down and landed in it from there on, the intensity picked up from the rest of the team. I would agree with that, Anita. I think you're spot on with that. All right, why don't we bring Ryan in Sacktown. Ryan, another win for the Kings, 130 to 112. And after an 0-4 start, they're now 2 games over 500 with a bad team coming into town on Sunday before they hit the road. So things are looking up for sure. Whoop, hang on. Give me a second while you talk. I'm going to switch my audio and make sure that I can hear you. So give me 1 second, buddy. Let me go to default here. All right, now speak to me and see if I can hear you. All right, I'm going to actually go to the headsets here. One more time. All right, hang on. I'm going to stop you again. I'm going to go right back. Hang on. This is the beauty, the absolute beauty of live internet. Go ahead, buddy. I still can't hear you. So I think it might be on your end. All right, I'm going to take you off and we'll put you back on. So I'm learning how to do all this stuff too. But I love the fact that we've got so many people with us talking about another Kings victory. And I'll tell you right now, with Detroit coming in, you could go 9-6 heading out to the road. Memphis is without Bates, who killed Sacramento 2 weeks ago. They do have Jaren Jackson back, which is, by the way, he's back about 2 months prior to when anyone thought. Appreciate that very much, Thomas, on the super chat. Thank you very much for your support. Means a lot to me. I love doing this show for the Kings fans. Great to have you here on the stream. If you want to hit me up on the chat message, it is very easy to do. We'll get to as many as we can. This team don't play defense. Is that the same as this team? They didn't play defense tonight, but that's why you have the scoreboard. Okay? That's why there's a scoreboard. Plain and simple. Light the MF beam. Yeah, it's lit. It is lit. It's going to be lit, I think, all weekend with the Pistons coming into town. I mean, you can't take any team lightly, but they should beat the Pistons, and you're going to have Marvin Bagley back in. They're playing right now. I'm going to give you the box score in that game. They're playing the Clippers right now, talking about the Detroit Pistons. And it's let's see here. Well, I'll get to that. All right, 65-67. Marvin Bagley's played 16 minutes, only has 4 points. He's -9. He could be in for a rough game. The Kings fans are going to be all over him, and rightfully so, and his dad. But 130 to 112, the final tonight, all right? And, again, there's really nothing to nitpick in. You want to criticize the defense, go right ahead. I'm not, all right? If you score 130 every night, it really doesn't matter how you play defense. I hate to say that. But what else am I going to say? Mitchell's defensive intensity rubbed off on everybody in the fourth. I mean, yeah, think about this. They outscore 41. They did give up 30, but, a lot of that was garbage baskets when the game was already decided and, you're not trying to foul and everything else. So this team, their confidence is growing, and it shows, says Brian. Bottom line, another win versus a team that they should beat. You're absolutely right. And that would be the case coming up with the Detroit Pistons on Sunday. So you're absolutely correct. All right. Someone says, wish I could be there to boo the Bagley family. Get a ticket. Go to the game. Someone says you can't score 130 every night. That's a great point. That's a great point. And so what you're saying is you got to be playing better defense. And I don't disagree with that. All right. I don't disagree with that. You have to play better defense. You're not going to score 130 every night. And when your offense is not on, then what? You got to be able to fall back on something. Right now, he's an all-star. I mean, it's only the middle of November, but he's clearly an all-star right now. What would happen if he were to get hurt and miss a month? Would he be an all-star? So, hey, 130 to 112, but he's been an all-star. No question about it. He has been an all-star. All right, Marine says this team can score, which is way to win if they can't defend. Very true. All right, let me see if we get Ryan back here. Let's see if I can hear you, buddy. All right, now I'm going to try because I can't hear you.
You can't.
Let's see what we got here. All right, I'm going to go to the default and see if I can hear you there. All right, go ahead, buddy.
You got me now?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Can't hear you, my friend.
Right.
I don't know what's going on here, but I can't hear you.
All right, give me a sec.
Ryan one more time and see if I'd love to get his take on the game. All right, I really would. All right, we get to the chats, the chat messages. We got a lot of them rolling in here. So great to have you on the post game. And this team will eventually have to play better defense. I would agree with that. All right, I would agree with. All right, absolutely. Somebody's looking ahead to Boston next week. I think the Kings already are showing that they are pretty good, regardless of how they do in Boston. All right. 34 more to go to get to 41. We'll see. It's a long year. And Jerry Reynolds made a great point on the show yesterday. Tyler, I'm going to pass on this just so you know. No, that is not going to happen. But you know, they got a long way to go. They haven't had injuries. They're probably going to, at some point, lose some key players. So let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Good to see you too, Maria. Thank you very much for joining us right here on the stream. Yes. Love what I'm seeing from the Kings. I went to the best game of my lifetime 2 nights ago. They're exciting so far. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The upcoming 3-game road trip will give us a sense of how good this team really is. At Miami, I think Atlanta, Boston. It's going to be very interesting, but you got to beat the Detroit Pistons first. You know, you got to beat the Pistons first. I'm not sure they have the players for good defense. You can play good team defense, though. You can play good team defense. You know, you really can. You can play better team defense than they're playing. And so that is always something to keep in mind. What's your thought on TD tonight? Well, I think that now everyone's expecting him to play the way he did against Brooklyn. And, you know, he didn't shoot the ball well tonight. Played 15 minutes, which is not a lot. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, turned the ball over 3 times. So obviously, you know, a lot different. Malik Monk in the conversation for 6th man of the year so far. I hate talking about awards when the season is 4 weeks old. I really do. I mean, if you want to have that conversation, yes. Okay. But I think it's way premature when it's an 82-game season and the Kings have played 14 games. Let's wait till we get to around game 40 before we're talking about postseason awards. All right. There you go. Someone says Mike Brown won't play you the rest of the game if you aren't on fire early. Hey, Sea-Dog, you know what? There's a lot of truth to that, and that's good coaching, you know? All right, I'm going to try one more time for Ryan. Ryan, buddy, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Hail Mary. You got me?
I got you.
Hey. All right. Sorry about the trouble, guys. No, I thought it was great. I mean, it was a balanced effort. I learned a lot about the team tonight, actually. And it's good to see him 2 games above 500. Yep. Let's get the win against Detroit and hit the road right.
Yeah, again, I like the fact that right now this team is showing that they don't have to just rely on 1 or 2 players for their offense. I mean, you know, we talk about Fox, we talk about Sabonis, but, you know, you look at the others, you look at the bench tonight, you look at Monk, who was unbelievable with 26 points. He made 4 of 9 from downtown. You had 2 other reserves in double figures. That's a real key to success, is that if you're 1 or 2 guys, your main guys aren't on, you now have other players that can pick it up and score.
Yeah, absolutely, Grant. And to further your point, the combination of the starters and the bench players, they're seeming to gel well together too when they're mixed on the floor and they're getting used to each other. That was a great, I believe it was 23-2 run that they made after it was 82-82. It's so evident De'Aaron Fox knows the spots on the court that he wants to get to, and he can get to them anytime he wants. But at this point, we have a small sample size, but we know we're going to get production from somebody from that bench. And that's huge going into a game, whether it's Monk, whether it's Lyles, whether it's Metu, it's a good thing to know.
All right, if you want to hit us up on the chat line, it's very easy to do. We'll put up as many messages as we can, 130 to 112. All right, so let's talk about the defense. They allowed the Spurs to shoot 55% tonight. And, we got a couple of chats, a couple of good points. You're not going to score 130 and 153 every night. Do you think that this team needs to start focusing a little bit more on the defensive end?
I think they need to tighten it down now, because as they get later into the season and if they make the playoffs, the defense picks up significantly. So one thing that I really liked, Grant, was they ran kind of that fake full court trap and just kind of dropped off, because I'm noticing that defense is turning into offense for this team if they are playing good defense, and it affects the pace of the game.
Yeah.
And when they get out running, that's harder on the other team, because, now they have to play both ends. And also to further that, when they're on offense and they're running the shot clock down to 10, 8, getting a good shot, passing it, getting somebody a better shot, that's making the other team work on defense. So I think both ends of the floor play to the Kings' strength, but they do need to get better.
All right. Oh, boy. There you go, Martin. You asked for it. You got it. All right, a couple of things. We're getting a couple of messages.
Yeah.
I would, hit the like button. All right. If you're watching right now and obviously live, hit the like button. If you're watching this on, at your leisure, hit the like button and make sure you subscribe so you're always aware when we are going to be doing these shows, because I'm going to be doing them a lot more often. And I'd like to get that number up from 200 into four digits, and we get this rolling. Slamson played his heart out tonight. How about that, huh? Man, I didn't know Slamson played his heart out tonight. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's great. He must have had a good dunk in between halftime and third quarter.
Yeah. All right. On fire. Absolutely right. All right. Here's another one. Speaking of fire, turn their sprinkler systems on. De'Aaron Fox is on fire. He really is. I mean, I don't know if you could ask anything more from De'Aaron Fox in the first 14 games, and for him 13 because he missed a Miami game. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, Grant, it really is. The significant step that he has taken between the 5th and 6th season is so evident. His body changed a little bit between the 4th and 5th season, but he is just getting what he wants, and he's opening up his teammates. And he is so unselfish. He doesn't have to be the guy. If I had to cut down on one thing or, nitpick at De'Aaron on one thing, it would be turnovers. And that's across the board for the Kings. They need to work on their turnovers. They seem to get a little sloppy in the third quarter, but De'Aaron has just been amazing thus far.
All right, here we go from Clayton. Grant, Ryan, if the Kings reach 10-game win streak, are you shaving your heads again? I'll shave my head if they go 10 wins in a row. Absolutely. I'll tell you right now, I'll do it. I know. Hey, I don't have a lot to go. I'm in. If they win 10 in a row, I'll shave my head again. I have no problem doing that. I'm happy to do that. Yeah, for the Kings fans who have been suffering for freaking 16 years watching crappy basketball, hell yeah, I'll shave my head for you if they win 10 in a row. Hell yes.
Nate, you didn't look bad with a shaved head either.
Yeah, I might go back and do it on my own anyway. I like it. I actually have enjoyed it. I like having the short do. It's kind of nice. And yeah, it's all good. I'm happy. Yeah. I might just go back and make it, I don't want to say permanent, but I might, mix it up a little bit, or I might surprise everyone, let it grow out a little bit more and go Mohawk. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that might be a 20-game winning streak.
Hey, you know what? A 20-game win streak. I may get a mohawk and on this side of the head, get a Slamson tattoo, and on this side of the head, a Kings logo tattoo. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we're
Oh
gonna
boy.
if 20, hey, for 20 in a row, you got to do some extreme things, you
You
know?
do. You do. You do. That
Hey,
would be
yeah,
great.
Jerry's sleeping. We can't get Jerry on a West Coast game post game because it is too late right now. Too late. King's commentary so bad, might as well watch the game on mute. I'm sorry about that. I wish I could help you out there, but there's not much I can do. Just enjoy the games, or maybe you can go to the games, and that way you don't have to worry about muting anything. It's all good. Somebody says, Grant, can you live stream and comment the game if we make the playoffs? I don't think I can. I'm not. I don't. I got to be careful with that. Plus, I think that you all, and as much as I appreciate those type of messages, I'm not sure logistically how I could do it where it would sound good and it would be in sync with the feed that you're watching because we're all in different places. So I'm really not sure how that would all work out. It could be very distracting for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the closest thing that you could do, Grant, is the watch party that you talked about before
Yeah.
on No Filter.
Yeah. Grant, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. Absolutely. I do it with a little bit more pizzazz. Yeah, absolutely. We need a top shot moment with the beam after a game winning shot or something. It's a long season. All these things are going to be happening. Great to have you here again. If you're just joining us, hit the like button and please subscribe. We would really appreciate that. Ryan, I just love all of the messages that we continue to get. All right. It's just great to have this type of participation after the games. And I'll do it again right here on YouTube after the Pistons game on Sunday night. All right. So we'll do it again. I love doing this. This is a great forum. I mean, we got a couple of hundred people watching live and a lot of other people go and watch it once it's posted. So I'm really happy to be doing this. I really am.
Yeah,
And the Beam team's looking good, man. The Beam team is looking good.
they look good. Let's take it one game at a time. But there's a lot to be encouraged about here in Sacramento. And Grant, as far as the commenters and everybody joining us, great comments, great questions. Love chopping it up with everybody. So keep it coming.
Yeah, and I do know we have a lot of viewers on Twitter too. It is awesome. It is awesome. Let's hope Twitter stays with us for a while. I keep on reading all these rumors and everything else. But I only worry about what I can control, and I can control doing this show, and I can control talking to you
Yeah.
and everything else. Somebody's already looking ahead to a road trip in December. Don't worry about that just yet, Carl. And the reason for that is things change. You could have injuries. You could have a depleted Sacramento team. You could have a lot of things that are going to change. Right now, everything's great. Everybody's healthy. I know Murray missed a game tonight, but it's not believed to be serious at all. So just take it one game at a time. I know it's a sports cliche, but don't get too wrapped up in the future right now. I go 5-game increments, Ryan. I've told you that, and they have a chance to go 5-0 in these 5 games. That's a big improvement from 1-4, how they started the season.
Absolutely, Grant. And, something kind of funny to me, but it's really cool. This is 2 games that we've brought our reserves off the bench to end the game. I can't remember a long time since, back in 02, 07 that had happened. So that's cool to see just as a fan.
What will the reaction be for Marvin Bagley's return? He's going to have to wear earplugs, that's for sure. DeMarcus Cousins said he wants to come back to Sac. Thoughts? That's because nobody else wants him and he's desperate. That's why he wants to come back to Sacramento, because he can't find a job because nobody wants him. All right, if you want to continue on this, just send me your messages and we will get to as many as we can. 231 people right now watching live and many more watching on Periscope via Twitter. And I'm telling you, everything is going well right now. Fox, mid-range. I don't know if I want to put him in the same sentence as the late Kobe Bryant just yet, but I understand the point you're trying to make. He does look really, really comfortable out there. Think about this. He was 11 of 15 tonight. 11 of 15.
That's very efficient. Very efficient. Especially shooting some fadeaways. He had 2 or 3. A couple. He's gotten, to me, it looks like there's a softer touch on that shot with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking for that free throw line extended spot on both sides of the elbow. But no Kobe. A poor man's Chris Paul, would you say at this point?
Yeah, and the nice thing about De'Aaron, he's still in his youth. I mean, he's now just entering his prime, really. And so, barring injury, there's no reason why he can't be one of the top elite point guards in the NBA. And, if you look at the Western Conference, just the West, I mean, it's so amazing the talent you have at the point guard position. And you now add him to that list because he's elevated himself. I mean, Steph Curry's the king, and we get that, and rightfully so. I mean,
Right.
we saw it last year in the playoffs and in the NBA Finals for anyone that doubted that. But right now you got Morant, but look at how well Fox is playing. And I'm going to look ahead one game. The first road game is Memphis, and you're going to see Fox and Morant again. And I think that's one of the great young matchups that we have to look forward to in the league right now.
Absolutely, Grant. You better have your neck brace ready the next day after watching that game because those guys move quick. But Morant, just an absolute stud. It was funny. I was watching the Grizzlies the other night play, and I was thinking, where do Fox and Morant kind of rank with each other? I think Morant's a little bit above him right now.
Yeah. But, he is.
Yeah, but Fox, like you said, he's just coming into his prime. And his three-point shot now is huge.
Yes.
Shooting that consistently opens the floor up for everybody.
Is Fox better than Curry now? No. Come on, guys.
Come on.
All right. And gals, stop it. Would you please? All right. Please stop it. Please. All right. Harrison Barnes looks rejuvenated now that he's playing with a purpose. You know what? You don't understand Harrison Barnes if you put with a purpose. Harrison Barnes, in all of the years that I had the pleasure of announcing the Kings, was as professional and took his job as serious as any other player that I've been around. I know it's cliche, but it's the truth. First one to the gym, last one to leave. Does enormous amount of stretching and therapeutic work before and after the games. He is as dedicated to his profession as anyone that you will see. So that message doesn't really apply to Harrison Barnes. Trust me when I tell you that. The guy is a consummate professional.
Consummate professional. You just took the words out of my mouth. And you know what? For the young guys, that's contagious. To see a guy like that, they learn the right way to do it.
Absolutely. Let's get to some more messages. Don't care about Morant. We got a baller and Fox that are playing for us. Let's go, Fox. It's not about caring for Morant, and I understand where you're going, but you have to recognize that Morant is one hell of a talent. He's one hell of a talent. Well, thank you. I miss you too. Appreciate the support on the super chat. I'm not going to go on and start ranking players right now 4 weeks into the season. Let's just already acknowledge that Morant is great and has taken the Memphis Grizzlies into the playoffs and won series. The Kings have not yet been to the playoffs, all right? They could do it this year, but let's be careful who we compare players to based on what they've already done in their career. Like if we're having a message, is Fox now better than Curry? That's silly. That's stupid. No, he's not. All right. He doesn't have to be better than Curry. He doesn't have to be better than Morant. You know what he has to be? He has to be what he is right now for the Sacramento Kings. And if you want to have fun on your own time comparing him to this guy or that guy, go ahead. It really doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. What matters is he helping the Kings win? Is he making the Kings a better team? And the answer to those two questions are a definitive yes. And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely, Grant. And for the first time, he really has the pieces around him too. And, it feels like, to me, he's playing with a swagger and a confidence. So when you say, what do we need? We need a De'Aaron Fox, just like you said, the way he's playing right now and what he's doing for that team, being unselfish, that's what we need. And we need a healthy De'Aaron Fox as well.
Absolutely. Great to have you here. Just keep on hitting up on the chat line, and I will get to as many messages as we can. Thank you, Donald, for that. Well said. Fox is his own player, and he's terrific. Yeah, and he hasn't been terrific in his first 5 years. He's been extremely inconsistent, and I've gotten on him for that, and particularly last year. But, last year is now history. Last year's in the books. It doesn't matter what you've done. It's a matter of what you're going to do for me now. And I can't say one thing about De'Aaron Fox that's negative right now. The guy has been absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. What else are you going to say? He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, spot on, Grant. He's leaving it out there on the court. And, there's not much that we can say.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you joining me here. I'm going to continue for a couple of minutes, and then we'll hook up with you on Sunday.
Sounds good. All right. Great win tonight. Right. Bye, Grant.
Hey, thank you, Ryan. Have a great weekend, buddy. Absolutely. Somebody said, Nate, you called it before the season started. Fox had to play to his contract. Yep, and he is. You know? Yeah, he is. Absolutely. I got so many great messages coming in. Yeah, the alley-oop was pretty impressive. And I can't even get to all of the messages coming in. I love doing this. Man, this is freaking awesome. We'll keep it going. I love the passion. I keep on talking about the passion, right? I love the passion that I'm seeing from Kings fans. I think it's great. It's so awesome. It really is. If you don't like this, you don't like Kings post game live streams. You forgot Kings post game show. You messed me up there, Olson. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like post game show live streams. Oh boy, how's that for you? All right, how's that for you? Hope to see Ivy versus Murray on Sunday. I'm looking forward to seeing Ivy. I really am. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, Afghanistan. Yeah, absolutely, baby. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yes, indeed. If you don't like Grant, you don't like Kings basketball. Oh, boy. Love the support. Love the support. You all are freaking awesome. Remember, if you're just joining me, hit the like button for me, would you please? Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done it. If you are only following me here on these shows, I do a daily show on Listen app, which is just like my radio show in Sacramento every day at 4 o'clock Pacific. Easy to download on your Android, Apple device, whatever. Listen app, download it. You can call me. We get a lot of calls every day. And then my podcast, you can go to my website, if you don't like that.com. I'll put it up here for you so you can just see exactly. If you don't like that.com, you'll find all of my work. And you can follow me on social media, on Twitter, at Grant Napier Show. I put all the links out there all the time. All right. So I love the fact that you are finding this show. I love the fact that, you're on with Jerry and I'm going to be with Sean Salisbury talking football tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And Ryan and I talk on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays after the guest. So it's really great. It's fabulous to have everybody here on this stream. I love you all. That's why I'm doing this. This isn't about me, man. This is not about Grant Napier. This is about you. All right. All right. Are you out of what is the deal with Amon Shumpert? Stop it already. Would you please? Stop it. Stop it. Come on now. Stop it. Incredible. Glad that the Blazers lost. The West is rock solid right now. I didn't even notice that final, but yeah. Yeah, 109-107, the Nets rebound. And they absolutely, your Kings pick up a game. Absolutely. Grant, we miss you. I've watched you since the days of Channel 31. Man, the days of Channel 31. I started doing the sports on the news in 1987. I'll never forget this when I moved to Sacramento. So I'm on TV, and I'd been doing the sports Monday through Friday, the 9 o'clock news for about, I don't know, 6 months. And I remember going out with some buddies around the holidays. I'd started in July. I remember going out, and my friends were giving me a hard time. They go, nobody even watches your news. Not one person has come up and said, oh, that's the guy on TV. And I started laughing. I'm like, yeah, nobody's watching Channel 31. Not unless you like, reruns of the Three Stooges and the Little Rascals and Betty White. And I mean, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Man. Yeah. And then a couple months later, we got the Kings. I started doing the Kings. And as they say, the rest is history. The rest is history. How great is Grant as a streamer? Eduardo, I'm a rookie at this, man. I'm a freaking rookie. I have no idea. I have no idea. Royce O'Neal with the game winner. All right, good to know. Good to know. Yeah. Let me peek at the standings right now in the West. All right. And again, keep on coming with the messages. I'll put as many as I can on the screen. But so the Kings now go to 2 games over 500 at 8-6 after starting 0-4. And Sacramento is now still 8th, tied with Dallas. Portland with the losses 10-5. Look how bunched up everybody is. Think about this. Portland, Phoenix, Denver with 5 losses. Utah, New Orleans, Memphis, Dallas, Sacramento with 6. And again, the Detroit Pistons, who only have 3 wins, all right, only have 3 wins, are down 6 in the fourth in LA to the Clippers. So you got a great chance to hit the road at 9 up and 6 down. Could be a hell of a weekend, you know? Could be one hell of a weekend. Thank you very much, Kenny. I appreciate that. You know, I appreciate that. Thanks very much. Grant, soon you might get to 1K on the chat. I will. I'm going to get to 1K on the chat. It is going to happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the one that I do not agree with. We'd be 10-4 if we would have gotten those terrible calls. No, you wouldn't have been. All right. Had Tyler Hero's travel been called, the game would have gone to overtime, in all likelihood, barring a buzzer beater. And why do you know that the Kings would have beat Miami in overtime? Had Kevin Huerter gone to the line with no time left to shoot 3 free throws, how do you know he would have made all 3 free throws? How do you know that? And then how do you know the Kings would have beat the Warriors in overtime? So stop with the 10-4 based on the calls. You're wrong. Okay, you're wrong. You can't say that. You're assuming the very best in both of those circumstances. So stop it, all right, you know? All right. We need Grant and Jerry back. I don't think that's happening. I appreciate the love, you know? I appreciate the love, but thank you very much. Because we're Kings fans, we believe anything. You know what, James? That's why I love you Kings fans, because you do believe everything. And I did a rant on this today. You know what? Who cares if TNT's making fun of the Kings? Who cares that they're making fun of the nickname, you know, the Beam Team? Who cares? Don't let that bother you. All right? Have I thought about enacting membership on my YouTube channel? I don't even know what that is, Donald. I'll look into it. And if you feel that's beneficial for me, I'll do it. And would that be like special events and everything so I could have a membership? Okay, so I could have a membership and we could have special events. So like for a half hour, I could give you all of my catchphrases. We could share stories and it would just kind of be like a private chat. Let me get Ryan back in here. So Ryan, you help me out with this because I'm not familiar with membership on YouTube. What do you think about that?
Well, there's various sites that do it. It's a good idea. It's basically you pay for premium content. So however many people pay for that premium content, that's who can access it.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how it works with YouTube.
We'll look into it. We'll look into it. How about this, Ryan? I just got ranted at by Grant. My life is complete. There you go. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I made your life complete. See, and you thought I was worthless. I just made someone's life complete. How great is that?
What a great feeling on a Thursday night.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely. Oh, man. Great stuff. Could we ever have you back as a broadcaster? You know, I resigned, Johnny, and I'm never going to predict the future. But right now, there are no plans. First of all, there's not an opening. The Kings have a fully staffed broadcast department, and we'll just leave it at that. A good team plays well and wins either way. Most teams throughout the season will get screwed on calls. Absolutely. You know what, Ryan? How beautiful is this? Every time you and I come on the stream and do this, we're getting more and more people watching. And there's a whole bunch of people watching on Twitter, too. This is freaking awesome, man. I love this. This is great. I'm going to see how many people are watching. Yeah. It's good stuff, huh?
It's awesome stuff. And it's people that care about the team, like you said. Great fans, great content. So, Grant, I can't speak for you, but I've heard you say you'll keep doing it for them. And I'll be right here anytime. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. Of course, I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. I love doing this, and I love interacting with the fans. I think it's the most enjoyable part of, you know, what I do. I love it. So, yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Absolutely. I got to add to what you said about the West standings.
Yeah.
We're a game and a half out of first place, but we're also a game and a half out of playing.
Yeah, I know. How about that, huh? Yeah. I know. I didn't want to. I don't want to be negative tonight. People go, "Gee, there's Napier again. He's being negative." You know, he's talking about the worst case scenario and blah blah blah. But all right, since you brought it up, You're one game back in a loss column, right? We're talking about the standings. Well, now I got to get on the right sport here. All right. So think about this. You have 6 losses, right? 6 losses, 8 and 6. The top teams in the West, the top teams in the West have 5 losses, right? So I'm having trouble bringing this up. All right, here we go. So here are your standings. But as Ryan points out, the 11th place team has 8 losses. Good point. That's why you can't be taking nights off. You
Exactly.
cannot be taking nights off. You cannot have a game because listen, Ryan, if you have one game where you're not all into it and you come out lethargic at the end of 82, that could be the difference. It really could. Look at last year. Look how close everything was last year.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Grant. And I mean, let's be honest. Those nights are going to happen in an 82-game season. You just can't have too many of them.
Mm-hmm. Here's the stat that matters, Michael, and I really appreciate that. The stat that matters is the scoreboard, and at the scoreboard comes the standings. Those are the stats that matter. Nothing else really matters. All right, nothing else really matters. All right, hey, I appreciate it, Rhino. I brought you back because I wanted you to see about membership on YouTube. That might be something I explore.
Sounds good. I'll do a little background on it too.
All right, buddy. Have a great weekend.
All right, you too.
I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow on Listen Up, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, obviously, after Sean Salisbury. It's my pleasure. That was an unbelievably stressful time for a lot of people in Sacramento, and I've talked a lot about this. I knew everything that was going on behind the scenes. Carmichael, Dave, and I had different sources, but they were the best sources anyone in Sacramento had. Anyone. And Dave and I used to talk, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours every day, either in person or on the phone, talking about developments, talking about what we knew, talking about what we thought would happen. We knew about big announcements before the big announcements were made. The Playing to Win documentary shows the phone call that Dave made to me when I was playing in Fred Biletnikov's golf tournament. And I broke down. I broke down on the phone. And that's probably other than being at the birth of my kids, it's probably the most exhilarating moment. There's 4 moments that stand out to me. The birth of my 2 boys, my phone call to my dad when I knew I was going to be the announcer for the Kings, and that phone call with Dave, that was something I will never, ever forget. That phone call with Dave on the Playing to Win documentary was also on the 30 for 30, which unfortunately was only seen by a few people. But that was the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And I'll tell you this. I would go on the radio and I would sit down and the music would come on in the intro for my show. And I would literally go, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Because, there were bad developments too. And I'm like, and then the music would come on and now it's Grant Napier. And I would just start talking. And then, I got fired up. The roll up sleeves to your freaking neck just came out. I got very animated after that. I think it was the first show after I got the call from George Maloof in the hotel lobby in New Orleans as we were getting ready to play a game on Martin Luther King Day against New Orleans. And we flew home right after the game. And my next show is, I think, when I went on that monologue that even 30 for 30 used on their documentary. And so I will never forget that period of time. Thank you, Jordy. I appreciate your support. But that show, that day was unbelievable. It really was. And I'll tell you this about the Maloofs. The Maloofs were great owners. They weren't good owners. They were great owners. Okay? And it all changed when the economy tanked in 2007. And that's when things went downhill for the Maloofs. So you can make fun of the Maloofs all you want. They had great intentions for a number of years. And then when they lost their money, they went schizo a little bit. All right. So I'm not going to rip the Maloofs. They did a lot of great things for Sacramento. I know, Cody, you would love to see it, Cody. It's freaking awesome the 30 for 30. I've watched it 5 or 6 times. You know, I know Carmichael Dave put it out on Periscope one day, and I think he got in trouble for it. I mean, not in trouble where, like, you know, it cost him money or anything, but I think he was told, don't ever do that again. So, you know, we'll see. Grant needs to guest announce a Kings game and light the beam. What would happen if I announced the game and they lost? Then what would happen? Oh, my gosh. No, they don't own the Knights. They're a very, very small minority owner. William Foley owns the Knights and has done a fabulous, fabulous job with that franchise. And to be transparent, my best friend put the team together. Quick story, Grant. In 2006, I went to the Joe and Gavin Maloof basketball camp back at Arco Arena. Gavin gave me $20 for hitting a free throw. Those guys were great owners when they had money. They were, and the players loved playing for them. Players love playing in Sacramento. Absolutely. All right, let's get to some more messages. Does Bagley get booed off the court on Sunday? Yeah, he gets booed off the court, you know? Absolutely. Absolutely. Should get booed off the court. Thank you. I appreciate your support. It was my pleasure to be your announcer for 32 years. My pleasure. And it was my honor to be your announcer for 32 years. And it was a privilege to be on the radio talking to you every day for 26 years, every day. And when I got fired in Bonneville, and that's why I have a lawsuit, for them not to let me go on the air that day was, I'll never forgive them for that. After 26 years of talking to you, you're not going to let me go on the air to talk to my fans about why I said all lives matter, every single one? Seriously? What kind of company is that? You know, what kind of company is that? Who does that? Thank you, Brenda. I miss you too. Miss all of the Kings fans. I really appreciate your support. Who does that? Think about that. 26 years every single day. After the worst of times and the best of times. I never called in sick. I was always there. You didn't hear them go, oh, you know, Grant isn't coming to work today. He's sick. In 26 years, that happened. You know what? I had a tumor removed from my freaking leg and was in the hospital. And the day I got home from bed, to bed, I couldn't walk down the stairs for a week. And I had the radio station. I go, I'm not taking the week off. You need to come here and you need to set up so I can do the show in my bed at home. And you know what? They came after my surgery to my house and they rigged the system back in 1996. All right, which technology is a lot different then than today. And they made it happen. So I could do my show from bed at home. All right. That's how much I loved doing my shows and talking to you every day. And so they're not gonna let me talk. They're not gonna let me talk to the people that I've been talking to for 26 freaking years. Like, what are you, scared? What am I going to say something that's going to embarrass the company? No, that's not how I did my job. That's not what I did. All right. I always try to be professional when I was on the air. So that's why I have a lawsuit in federal court. And I'm looking forward to my day in court. I'm looking forward to it, you know? Thanks, man. I appreciate that very much. Jose, I appreciate everyone's support. You are freaking awesome, all of you. All right? You really are. You all are the best. It is cancel culture at its finest. I was a victim of cancel culture, and I was also a victim of false narratives put out by former Kings players, namely Chris Webber and Matt Barnes, and that's going to be proven in court. I'm not 98% sure of that. I'm 100% sure of that. 100% sure. I've already known it's going to happen, and I'm going to love it when that's published and you can see that they lied. Why did they lie? You'd have to ask them. You know, that was their way to get back at me for being critical at their stupidity and their asinine lack of professionalism as members of the Sacramento Kings, and in Chris's part, TNT, right? So it will be proven in court, all right? It will be proven in court. I really appreciate all your support. You deserve better than that, Grant. If you continue to do the right thing, speak what is right. I've always spoken what I believe in and spoke what is right. You know, always. I've always done that. I will always do that. It's how I was raised. I believe that, you need to make a difference in this world. You need to help people. I've always done that. That's why I had my foundation and sent over 100 kids to college, all of whom were underprivileged and at need, many of whom were minorities, you know? So it's all good. Really appreciate everyone's support. You all are the freaking best. You're the best. Seriously, you all are the best. You want to know why I do this and not get paid for this? I do it because of this, I do it because of you all and your support. All right, so what do you say we do this again on Sunday night after the Pistons game, and let's have some fun. I apologize for those that sent me messages on the chat line. I just can't get to them all, and I'm seeing a lot of them, but by the time I try to go and put them up on the screen, then you're gone, I wasn't really an Iron Man. You know what I was? I was somebody that loved my job, and I always tried to do everything I could to do my job, and that's the way I was raised. When my dad passed, and I substituted for Jim Rome for a long time, over 15 years, and thank you very much. So November 2nd, 2007, the Kings are playing the Spurs in San Antonio, and my dad watched every game on the League Pass, and my dad called me after every game, or I would call him. And I remember the last conversation I had with my dad was October 31st, 2007, on the bus outside the New Orleans arena. And the Kings had lost opening night, and we were getting ready to fly to San Antonio. And I talked to my dad for 5 minutes. I was one of the first people on the bus, so there weren't a lot of people on the bus yet. But generally speaking, after a loss, the bus is quiet, and you need to use common sense. You don't have laughter. You don't, you speak softly. You lost, and it's opening night. And there were a couple of players on the bus, and I talked to my dad for like 3 minutes, and he was talking about, gee, how awful the Kings were. And I'm like, yeah. And, we talked, and I said, I'll talk to you in San Antonio. He goes, all right, you have a safe flight. I said, okay. So fast forward now to November 2nd. It's about 4 o'clock, 3:30, 3:45 in the afternoon. And I went and saw a movie, a matinee that day in San Antonio. And I'm walking back to the hotel, and my phone rings, and it's my brother. And my brother's crying, and he says, Dad died today. And I was like, just like whenever anyone would get a message like that, everyone reacts differently. And my dad had always told me, I don't ever want you missing a game because of anything with me. And I remember walking back to my room, and I was like, man, I don't really know if I'm going to be able to do the game tonight. And then I thought, well, my dad said, don't ever miss a game because of him. And I only told a few people. I called the Kings. I said, listen, I would appreciate it if you could limit my role on the pregame tonight. I just really want to concentrate on the game. And they said, hey, we can have G-Man simulcast the game. I go, no, we're not going to have G-Man simulcast the game. I'm going to do the game. I go, that's what my dad would have wanted. And so I remember getting on the bus, and G-Man, who was very close to my dad, and Jerry, they were there for me. And, I remember doing the game, and then I'll fast forward. We had a game the next night in Dallas, and I did that game, and I didn't miss any games. And I remember that night the Kings had 29 points at half, and my dad's memorial was December 2nd in New York. And I talked at it, and I said, hey, for those of you that don't know, when my dad passed, they found him on the couch, and ESPN was on the TV in the afternoon. And they found my dad before the Kings played that night. And I said, boy, I'm really happy that they found my dad before the game started, because my dad watched every single game on League Pass. And that night, my team, the Kings, only scored 29 points in the first half. And if they had found my dad after the game, I would have had to carry the guilt that the Kings killed my father with their absolutely horrible performance, that it was so bad that my dad didn't survive the game watching it. So, I always try to look at the bright side and everything. But, it's not about Iron Man. I was raised that way. You get paid to do a job. And you do a job. And I always used to play the Friday before Father's Day, the last time my dad was on the radio with me and Mike Lamb. And it was one of my favorite shows that I ever did. And my dad just blew people away with his stories of growing up in New York. I tell the story about my dad was at the Polo Grounds for the New York Giants Brooklyn Dodgers football game on December 7th, 1941. My dad was at that game on that fateful Sunday as a 15-year-old, and 3 years later, he would find himself in the Pacific Theater in the Navy on a ship on the coast of Okinawa. But he was at that December 7th, 1941. My dad was at the Polo Grounds for the Giants and Dodgers, and I've asked him what it was like when news started to get out, and very chilling, very, very chilling indeed. All right. Love the fact that we have so many people on the stream, and thank you for that. I will always cherish that phone call that we had on the radio that day with my dad. So did not come from Bowling Green. Work ethic definitely did not come from Bowling Green. All right. Thank you for that. My dad was phenomenal. My dad, not to get carried away, but since we're talking about this, my dad was a civil rights activist. And my dad was extremely involved in our church, the Unitarian Church of New York. And on the March on Washington, my dad personally got over 10 full busloads of people to go to the March on Washington down in D.C. On that day. I think it was that 62 or 63. But my dad was always involved in helping others. And I'll never forget this story. I always tell this story. Is we were playing the Knicks at the Garden, and I was supposed to meet my dad before the game like we always do. And my dad called me and said, "Hey, I'm running late. I'm just going to see you at the game." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So I always leave my dad a ticket and a press pass so he can come right down to where I'm at and we can hang out. So he said, "Hey, I was at the prison." I go, what do you mean you're at the prison?" Well, my dad was the head of Men Against Domestic Violence, the Long Island chapter. My dad was the head of it. And he said that I've been visiting this lady in prison who is in prison for murder. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he explained to me the story. He said, this lady could only end her misery by taking the life of the person that was abusing her, because the legal system wasn't doing enough to prevent it from happening repeatedly. So she took the life of the individual who was constantly beating her up and giving her so much harm. And he said that she didn't have anyone in her life. And not that it matters, but I'm going to say this. She was African American, and that's how my dad lived his life. My dad actually did more for people of color than he did for other ethnicities. That's just the way we were raised. I told you about my brother teaching math for 35 years at a high school on Freeport, Long Island, that was predominantly Black and Hispanic. Again, that's just the way we were raised. But I just thought, we live in a society where there's so much bullshit, right? There's so much like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Nobody was looking at my dad. My dad did this out of the goodness of his heart. My dad didn't broadcast that he was going to a jail to visit a woman who was in there for murder because it was her only way out and she didn't have anybody. And my dad didn't even know this lady and found out about her and started visiting her in prison. Like actions speak louder than words. So as we wrap this up, I love sharing stories with you. Like I love when we can sit here and talk about stories. Dude, just make your community better, right? Make your community better. I always talk about that. That's why I love my foundation. I love doing so many things for great people, but I couldn't have done that without you. I couldn't have done that without your support, both listening, watching, monetarily with my foundation, sponsorships, and everything else. So Kings win. Kings win. They are 8-6. You got the Detroit Pistons coming in on Sunday. Marvin Bagley. Last thing, someone wants to know, my dad basically died of natural causes at age 82. He was in great shape. He just passed away. And you know what? No one lives forever. Enjoy your life. Kings win 8-6. Have yourself a fabulous night. I'm going to do this again after the Pistons game. All right? You all are the freaking best. Love this show. 1 hour in the books. And we're going to do it again tomorrow at 3 o'clock with Sean Salisbury. Sean will be on with me at 3 o'clock Pacific. We'll talk college. We'll talk the NFL. And then an hour after that, I'll be on Listen App. Ryan will also join me tomorrow after my conversation with Sean right here on If You Don't Like That with Grant Napier.